If you've been following this channel, you know that for many years I've lived and worked overseas, but I came back to my home state last February because I was being inducted into the State Hall of Fame for wrestling. And a couple weeks after that, the whole planet shut down. My flights going back were canceled, and I don't think it's the best idea right now to even take my family back overseas. So like many of you and like most people in the world, I'm kind of in limbo. We're all waiting to see how this is gonna play out and what's gonna happen, how the world's gonna change after this. But if I'm going to be here, well, obviously I need to get a job. I need to do what I need to do to take care of my family. And last week I had a job interview. Now this is for a very large global company called Pearson. And if you're not familiar with this company, what they do is certification testing for all kinds of different industries. Basically, people go in and they take a test on their computers, and it's all very thorough to make sure that they can't possibly be cheating. But they called me in to interview for this company, and I walk in, and the guy working there, he kind of freaks out maybe a little bit because I'm not wearing a mask. I wasn't told or notified that I have to wear a mask to enter, but my mom had some in the car. So I went back out to the car, got a mask on, and then we could sit down and do an interview. Now this guy, he was a much older guy. He told me he's a hippie from the 60s and 70s, kind of slobbish looking, long hair, ponytail, but I understand that he doesn't necessarily have to be wearing a jacket. I, of course, was dressed in a jacket. I was looking good, and he complimented me on that. He said that I look very nice and everything, and the way I'm dressed is highly appropriate. And the interview actually went really, really well. Then he wanted to give me the tour of the facilities, and he gets to the part where he takes me into the break room and he tells me, this is the one area that doesn't have any cameras, because they have cameras all over the rest of the place to make sure that people can't be cheating and also to make sure you're doing your job so you're on camera. But he takes me into the break room and I'm looking around. I can't help but notice there's something hanging on the wall. It's anti-white propaganda. And I was trying to be discreet, so I'm kind of trying to look at it discreetly, so I couldn't read the whole thing. I read the first part. The first part was about how whiteness is not normal. Whiteness is not normal. So what does that make me? Well, it makes me abnormal, apparently. But he saw me looking at it and he said, oh, isn't that great? I hung that up there. And he told me he's intolerant of intolerant people. Now it shows what a moron this guy is, because that means he can't even tolerate himself. But he was going off, then he started going off on these very far left-wing politics, and he even touched upon, it's pretty clear that he didn't like Christianity, and I'm a devout Christian, and here the bottom line is, anytime you're in a workplace, I think it's highly inappropriate to bring up your political beliefs, or for me, even if I was going to bring up my religious beliefs, it's not the right place for that kind of thing. But he was very happy to go off on all this, and I was just, for a moment, I thought that, well, I could probably easily get the job if I just said, oh, and we have that vile racist in the White House. You know, pander to him, tell him what he wants to hear. A lot of you'd be surprised how far that gets you in life by just telling people what they want to hear. Especially if you want to infiltrate some type of movement or just be some sort of grifter. But I was kind of surprised and taken aback because I came there for a job interview. I didn't come there to discuss politics or to discuss my religion or anything like that. I just want to keep things as professional as possible, but he was taking it that way. And so I just kept quiet to myself. I'm sure he could judge my silence when he was going on about all this crazy stuff and his crazy beliefs. But I was also thinking, geez, if things were reversed and I hung something in a workroom that said blackness is not normal, I'm sure there'd be lawsuits, there's all kinds of trouble, I would be fired, I might get sued for that. So I just kind of stayed silent, and I told my parents later what happened and said, you know, maybe I should have just said something to tell him what he wanted to hear. I'd probably get the job real easy. And my dad said, no, you don't need to sell yourself out. So if you've been watching these videos, I like to give you lessons from my life experiences, things I've learned along the way. What can I give you that you can take away from this video that's actually going to help you out in life? Well, there's actually a number of things. Some of those I'm going to keep to myself right now. but I can give you a couple things. Number one is if you're in some sort of business situation, it's not a bad idea to record it. And that can be as simple as maybe having a cell phone in your pocket where it's just the audio recording, or you can get a very cheap camera that's on a pen that's very discreet, or a keychain or whatever. So it's not a bad idea just in case something crazy and out of the blue happens. And also you got to be careful recording people without their knowledge, because that could be illegal depending on what state you're in. And you don't want to if someone's just doing something but it's really not that harmful to the greater society, or it's not something that's not something that's going to be a legal issue with you, you don't want to make people look bad. You want to be a decent human being. So if you're going to do that, be very careful, but it's not a bad idea. And number two, I would say that don't be afraid if something comes up in your workplace or your life or whatever. Don't be afraid to take legal action. This could mean filing a complaint. It could mean filing a lawsuit. And I know a lot of us don't like to do that. We don't like to go that route. A lot of people think that it's immoral. But I was watching this video by this lawyer that has a YouTube channel, and someone talked about how they don't feel right about filing lawsuits. And the lawyer, I thought, gave a very good answer. He said, look, I don't like lawsuits either, but sometimes these are necessary to make corporations do the right thing. And you can be sure if roles were reversed, like I said, if it was me that hung something, let's say I hung something in the break room, something even really mundane that said something like, it's okay to be white, let alone insulting someone by saying blackness is not normal, you can imagine that there would most likely be legal action taken against me or against the company that I was representing. So you have to think of those things. But my friends, hopefully this has helped you out. Life, I know, seems right now with everything that's going on, it seems very dire, but keep positive. Don't watch the media too much. You need to detox from all that, and you need to go outside and have a good time. So until next time, my friends, be sure to check out my other videos on my channel and enjoy.